I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with a cattle market summary for the week ending January the 6th. Had an active week to start off the new year. Starting off with the board, of course it was closed on Monday because that was the actual holiday for the New Year's. But on live cattle futures on the February contract, Tuesday was down $1.17. Wednesday was back up 80 cents. Thursday down 60 and Friday down a quarter. To end the week at 114.82, which was down $1.23 for the week. And that's 114.82. That's more than a $3 basis for what the cash fat cattle market is. And really this board is just kind of holding this cattle market back, especially in the feeder cattle, because it can't really hedge anything. Guys are wanting to buy cattle and really active in their bidding on them, but they don't have anything to really rely upon to offset the risk. You look at the feeder cattle board. Let's go to the March contract now. Tuesday was down 7 cents. Wednesday was down $1.27. Thursday was unchanged, and Friday up 50 cents to end the week at 123.80, which was down $1.30 for the week. Your spot market January feeder board is at 128.32. Now both of those are quite a bit back from what your index price is, from what cattle are actually bringing out in the sales and in the country too. And like I say, the board's just really holding this cattle market back. You've got a lot of demand, guys wanting to get in there and buy some cattle, but we don't have enough investment, outside investment on the long side to really let this cattle market spread its wings a little bit. But you look at the fat cattle market this past week, had 72,600 head of negotiated sales through Thursday's business, and not a whole lot on Friday. So we're going to be short of that 100,000, which we've been kind of getting here the last part of 2016, and starting off on a light week. But it was a holiday week, even though the week between Christmas and New Year's was really active. New Year's week just didn't have the volume that we'd had before, but we should continue to have quite a bit of negotiated trade. It seems like it's been making for a healthy market there, but most of your trade happened on Wednesday, and it happened right after the Fed Cattle Exchange. They ended their online auction there, and we've mentioned on here that the packers are kind of abusing this Fed Cattle Exchange. It does seem to spur some trade there middle of the week out in the country after it gets done, or maybe even before, but they're not really paying these guys to get it started, and you see that oftentimes whenever you try to do these kind of things. I used to see it a lot when we down in the southeast and back east when I worked there with USDA, whenever these groups would try to get feeder cattle auctions going, and it would start off with a big bang and you'd have a lot of people participating, but then this different things began to make it abuse the system, and then guys would drop out, and nobody really wanted to be the guinea pig to have to get in there and use their cattle and their risk of what was going on to establish a market. And I hate to see that that's starting to happen here. They really deserve to get full market value, or maybe even a little more, for trying to get out there and get this negotiated trade going. But most of your sales on the Fed Cattle Exchange were from all of them were from 115.5 to 117.25, but just really had one pin at 117.25. But most all of them were at 117. But within just an hour or two, when that sale concluded, you had people just selling all their cattle that they had on their show list for $1.18, and which is not completely fair there. But most all the cattle traded at $1.18. That was done out in the country there, and your weighted average is going to be very close to $1.18, and where many times it runs 50 cents or more back from that, but it's going to be very close to $1.18 this time when it comes out early in the week. And on a dress basis, 188, which would be $2 off the top from the previous week, which the $1.18 would have been steady. But you look at the slaughter for the week, and like I said, it'd be nice to get out from under all this holiday stuff as we get started with this week and roll on, but this will pretty much end up for your holiday there. We did have a holiday week total for the slaughter, 537,000, which was 27,000 more than the holiday week right before, and but 15,000 less than the same week a year ago. And your one thing that's very positive is your actual weights come out. Of course, you're on a 2-week delay, but those things are plunging with these cold temperatures, especially in the northern plains, also have them in the southern plains this past week. But it's really sucking the weight off these cattle, and we're getting the time of year that we're going to start going down too. But these actual dress weights are just plunging. Your average steer dressed 897 pounds on the last report that come out. That's down 11 pounds from the previous week and down 9 pounds from the same time a year ago. And that's the first time that we've dropped below 900 pounds on a dressed steer weight since the middle of the fall. So we're really dropping, and it'll continue to decline until we get into the mid part of the summer or later on, because it's just going to continue to roll down there, and then it'll start picking back up in the fall there next year, but or this year, I guess I should say now. But box beef cutout values ended the week on the average trade about steady, but we're really down hard late in the week, and that was not too good and really unexpected, because we expect in January that we'll see some rally there and kind of getting back, reclaiming part of what we lost there previous to the holidays. But your choice carcasses on the average trade for last week were 201.84, which was actually up 4 cents, but like I say, it was down hard late in the week, and really took back all the gains that we saw there early in the week whenever you saw some of these buyers really hungry for some products coming out of the holidays. Your select average trade on a carcass was 193.62, which was up 83. But we should see this price increase through January as these buyers start to kind of replenish their shelves and get back going. And like I said, everybody's just, you know, as much as we like the holidays, we're glad to get through them and get on back to regular business, and they'll be restocking their shelves for that. And we do expect that to come back later in January and get some of what we lost late in the week, and should get well up there over 200 on your choice cutouts there. But slaughter is expected to really bolster here going into the new year. These packers are still making good money. I don't think they lost money a day in 2016, and because they're just so disciplined in their purchasing of their raw product, and they're good at selling on both ends. And I mean, these guys are good at it, and they made money, great money in 2016, and they're looking for another good year in 2017. But you look at your feeder cattle market, you know, the storm that pretty much covered all of cattle country, and now it's in the southeast there. And then it's funny to see some of those guys talking to temperatures barely below freezing, and they're thinking that they're going to freeze to death down there. But it was all in the northern plains and southern plains. You know, you had over a foot of snow in the northern plains there, and guys really struggling to get their chores done and things. But it didn't hold up marketing at all. They somehow still find a way to get their cattle to the sale barns and get them marketed, and it just, those measurements of snowfall just kind of declined as you went south. But even here in the Ambarella area, we had a good, you know, 2 to 4 inches there, and enough for the kids to get out and play. And it covered the wheat fields. The guys had to get out there and feed some hay a little bit. But we're already seeing those wheat fields dry up, and because we haven't had any measurable moisture, and this wasn't a real wet snow, so it's not going to do a whole lot to help. But you're already seeing some wheat cattle come off wheat and go into town, and that's kind of too bad, because you really start getting the good out of that wheat whenever things start to warm up here in another couple of months. But you know, that it's kind of been a bust on the wheat deal, as rank as it was when they unloaded them, even though it had been dry, but it had some early moisture there whenever it first got planted, and it was really rank when they turned out, and now it's about petered out already. But you look at your feeder cattle trends for the week, your cattle going right into the feedlot, and like I say, this time of year, most of them aren't real yearlings. I mean, there's some backgrounded yearlings in different spots, but most of them through the bulk of the plains in the Midwest are just big calves, but they're still feeder cattle. They're big enough, they got to go right into the feedlot. They sold firm to $2 higher, and not a real big push on them. And we'd have thought as much ground as the fat cattle market gained, and everybody went into the new year with a big head of steam. you just can't lay that risk off on those cattle, because you got to depend on that June board. You can't reach April anymore, and there's just nothing really to get a hold of, and we're going to have to see that board for the out front months come up if we're going to see these big feeders gain any ground. But there was a big push on your middleweight calves, and middleweight calves, I'm talking, you know, from 5.5 up to 700 pounds. And those are feeder cattle really in the northern plains too. You normally don't see guys in the southern feedlot areas putting cattle that light on full feedlot ration there, but in the northern plains you got a lot of farmer feeders. That's what they really like, is some of those 6-weight calves especially. And you saw big gains on home-raised 6-weight calves. They've been long time weaned. They've had a couple of storms on them. They've had snow on their back, and they're pretty much foolproof by now. And that's when your farmer feeders really like to get in, and they need something to do here for the next 2 or 3 months. There's not much they can do for farming, so you can only grease your equipment so much. So they need some kind of a project to do, and you saw big gains, $6 to $8 from northern Kansas up into Nebraska and the Dakotas, northern Missouri, Iowa, places like that. You saw that, and of course that trickles down into your other areas, even further south and west. You saw big gains on those middleweight calves. Light calves are just lightly tested. Not seeing a big movement of light calves. You always see them, of course, in the southeast, but they were just getting back to business. They'd been shut down completely there for really 3 weeks, but just a light run of light calves. But this week we'll be looking at kind of a trend setter and a price setter for cattle this coming up later on this spring. Your big bell ringer Spare Your Livestock auction video is going to be Wednesday and Thursday, January 11th and 12th. Always coincides with the National Western. I remember when I was a kid, we used to take calves up there to the car lot bell ringer, and that was always a big treat to get to go up and do that. And when they quit having the actual live auction there, then the Superior Video took over, and it still draws a big crowd, and there'll be a lot of people watching it, kind of see where they want to price cattle, and we'll see what the trade's like. You look at Beef Market Central there on some trades coming in on the automated market reporting system. At Bluegrass Stockyards of Richmond on Friday, they had 133 steers, weighed 752 there at 10:30 in the morning, bring 134.10, and that's pretty good in Kentucky there. You want to look at Virginia Cattlemen's Association having another tele-auction on Monday. They've got like 26 loads from the Abington Feeder Cattle Association, which is in Southern Virginia, which is not as much freight as a lot of you guys are thinking. Then they've got a few other loads that are further up north there, but be some really good cattle offered in load lots, and those cattle will all be preconditioned, all be long time weaned, and everything be ready to go for you. But those of you that have gotten on Cattle Market Central, for more options, really, if you can go to Beef Market Central, which is basically the same operation there, but it has more options. And if you're a Merck Animal Health customer, you can get on Beef Market Central, get it on your phone, you can get it on your tablet, you can get it on your laptop, and they got just a lot more options on there, including a feeder cattle ticker that you can get on and watch right on your phone there, and just watch the sales pop up all through the day on a business day, where cattle are selling in sale barns all across the country. And that's beefmarketcentral.com or BMC at your app store there for your phone. And that's your cattle market summary for this week from a Home DV auction office here in Canyon, Texas. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.